All right, this is the daily chart of AAPL. Before I talk about AAPL, I want to talk about my visionary lines and how well they work, not just on Apple, but on any stock really, and what they are saying now. So if we look at Apple's on this daily charts past, when the green line is curving above price, that usually says that it's more likely the stock will want to head lower and it will be in more lower phase. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to be simply it's going to go lower. As you can see, it did go lower as we were curving here. And even though they popped, this line becomes another resistance. And then, of course, this went lower. And we start recurving, suggesting higher prices. And higher prices did come. What's really bullish here is the distance of how this line is curving from its past and where Apple is right now. This was suggesting higher prices, but confirmation was needed. Again, it's not as simple as what I'm saying, but let me just show you example AMZN, and you'll see the consistency of it. So we have curving line and lower prices. Curving line, lower prices. Even while this is happening in the trend, so AAPL. So now we're going to go to the 2-day chart, and again we are curving upwards, very bullish. And then again, what's really bullish about this is when we're covering upwards towards this line, especially going through it, and that becomes bullish. And again, these lines are like resistance and support based on the history of the price. And of course, there's more to it than what I'm saying, but what's bullish is that we have a pattern. We have price going above all these price history lines, resistance and support, and it's very bullish, no matter what way I look at it. So we look at the weekly chart, the same thing. Now, what's bullish about this here, and I've been interpreting, of course, this is suggesting this was a buy. This, of course, was a buy points all from here, and because the support is so low over here, the confirmation of the pattern here, and this going higher, especially above this particular resistance line that used to be a support, then became a resistance based on where price should be. It's extremely bullish on the weekly chart where Apple is ending up, suggesting that the stock is heading to test the 600 area, where we will most likely meet some resistance. But usually, if we can crack above the 612 area, again, 600 is not, it looks like even for higher. We need to see how it acts in the $612 area. Of course, the stock's going to have a 7-to-1 split. And when we look at the monthly time frame, again, which is another bullish, what we have here is a kind of a triangular pattern, suggesting Apple $900 based on the pattern here. That's possible. Now, of course, we're going to have 7-to-1 split. So what's that mean? Possibly Apple goes to 300 in the long term. It's a bullish situation. Of course, this line over here curving is really bullish as well, supporting as we have the support here of the longer term trend line. This is not acting. This is not unlike a trend line, and of course the 18 period low. Of course, we are way above that as well. It's a straight out bullish situation. Let me go back to the daily here. So if we take a look at stocks like Google, and I want to show something else that's interesting. So Google, of course, is in that downward phase. Now let's go back to time in Apple AAPL, where Apple had a corrective phase, right? Because we had a corrective phase way back in 2012. So we'll put a 3-day chart so we can see more. And so basically, here we have more like a to me, in my opinion, with the way the lines have been were curving over here, a topping action, suggesting lower prices. Now, it doesn't mean for sure this was going to happen, but what happened back in the past, we have now reversed in a strong way from these points, and in no way are we near a topping, but a very bottoming action, even though the stock is nowhere near a bottom. If we take a look at this area here, we have the curving of these particular lines towards this extremely, extremely bullish, especially that close. I mean, suggesting simply that this stock is heading to $600 to $620. Um, and again, the history of this stock is this particular line at the time acted as um, a support, meaning the Apple should not go below it. And when we did start closing below it, right over here, we had continuously lower prices. And of course, this again suggested that Apple was going to take a long time, and it did take a long time. Look, 2013, 2014, we really didn't move much higher. The stock struggled in this 500 area, and don't forget, it used to trade a lot higher, right? And we're kind of like what the lines are saying is we are recovering now, and we're starting our new uptrend, much like back down here in 2011 when we had a huge move higher. Of course, we had some sort of a dip over here, followed by push higher. And I believe, based on the history of the way of the price of Apple, based on these lines that are calculating this from all this is incorporated here. This, of course, showing immense strength in the price. And of course, this move here is extremely bullish, and this stock simply is kind of like I consider it being like reborn again in the glory years of the 2012 move here, as you can see. And I believe that 2014, 2015, especially with the 7-to-1 split, I mean, this is going to be a safe doubler at least. Um, because the stock will probably split under $100. Well, could be $85, $90 a share, and easily double safely when the fundamentals and the technicals have aligned. This is a special presentation. If you want to see some examples of I mean making some videos of on other stocks how well these lines work, they kind of give a picture of what's the like does the stock need more time and what's the odds in your favor. And of course, it's also looking at technical patterns. The line suggested that based on the way I look at this, that Apple favored the higher prices, but without confirmation. And then we had the earnings, of course, this day here, and this simply being able to hold. And don't forget, the market was selling off. It totally changed the picture, because if Apple had that same fundamental news, the pattern that we had here, which is a triangular pattern, and we had closed to the downside, that would have changed everything. It would have been extremely negative, and no matter what Apple said, but basically the market, basically what technically is being done here is like, the way I interpret this is Apple is kind of being like, reborn to make big moves again, just like it did back in 2000 and back in 2000. Well, I got to go back to the 3-day chart, 2011, where as you can see, as we started eclipsing this particular line again, the trigger vision LT line that I have labeled over here, there was a huge move in price. And I believe, based on the history of the stock, these lines tracking the price, the way this action Had this had turned the opposite way, um, it would have just taken. It would have been taken another type. It would take longer, of course. We really needed the power and the push, and this is like a positive change, just like there was a positive shift in this pattern when we broke out over here in 2012 in the 400 area here, the 400 and see open 422 high. The same kind of thing here led to extremely higher prices. I think this stock is going to be going much higher as well. No, over time. It doesn't mean it's going to do it like this, but I believe that this is a sign that once this finishes going up and we split and they can make some other patterns, that this will want to double. So you're looking at a stock that can go to 180, $200 a share almost, like for sure type of thing. It's already written in stone. The momentum, no matter what happens with the speculation, there's money being pouring into the stock. You got to meet. There's never been a time where technicals and fundamentals have been aligned, and these lines are really tell me that picture here, especially the way we held that close. I mean, it couldn't have. This may not have happened. You see, it was so important that we got back up through here. That change, fundamental shift is powerful. It doesn't mean anything that we come back. We could test back lower, and we may not. This is impossible to know. But the basically picture that's been, no matter what time frame I talk about, it's extremely bullish. It could need time to, Apple could consolidate for a while, could have pullbacks, but it seems like the pullbacks will be bought. So buying into Apple, that really at this point in time, there could be some consolidation, and it may just continually rise slowly higher. I believe we're heading to 600 to 620 within a short period of time. For the split will happen within that price range. It's not going to happen lower. The odds favor it to remain higher. It's just, no matter how we look at it. Let's look at the 3-day chart here. No matter how you look at it, this thing is just through the roof. And again, unlike moving averages, this points a different picture, because moving averages in this area here wouldn't suggest what I'm seeing here, especially here, that this something is negative right there. And if I put a moving average chart and looking at the same thing, we see, what do we see? Because I have all moving, and I look at this stuff too, right? But it doesn't mean nothing's really happening. Here you wouldn't tell there was something problem. Now you go back to my visionary lines and there's a different picture. Anyways, thanks for listening. Like the video.